Welcome to CRM Audio, the Dynamics 365 podcast with Business Solutions MVPs George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Sean the CRM Hobbit Tabor. This episode is brought to you by our friends at KingswaySoft. KingswaySoft is a leading integration solution provider offering software solutions that make data integration affordable and painlessly easy. Thousands of enterprise clients from over 65 countries and regions rely on KingswaySoft to integrate data with various application systems in order to drive their business efficiency and fully leverage their information assets. KingswaySoft is a leading provider of Microsoft Dynamics integration software, including Dynamics 365, CRM, AX, NAV, GP, SL, as well as many other applications such as Marketo, Dropbox, QuickBooks, and Salesforce. Whether you need one solution or several, KingswaySoft works easily within the SSIS platform to make your integration process as quick and easy as possible. Many of their clients have seen 3 to 10 times greater data integration performance after switching to the SSIS integration toolkit.
Well, welcome to episode 51, friends.
We just one away from the mysterious 52.
That's right. And this is our CRM Focus episode. If you're listening to this in St. Louis, welcome to CRMEG Focus. We'll talk later in the episode about all the places you can catch somebody from CRM Audio or CRM Tip of the Day. If you're not sick of us yet.
How to avoid. Which would be
exactly. You could use it either way. How to learn from us, or how to run away.
Yeah,
but I'm planning on bringing the leftover buttons that I have. So hit us up for a button if we have any left.
Yep,
I do have a bunch. So if they let me in with the luggage,
bring them along.
Yeah.
All right. So we did have some big news this last week.
The news, well, on May 3rd, we had Microsoft revealing the new Dynamics 365 and LinkedIn Sales Navigator integration. We had some additional stuff for operations and financials and talent, and that's all fine and good. But let's focus on this. It basically looked like the same integration that you have now with Sales Navigator, with some additional enhancements and a new licensing model that allows people to really take advantage of that capability and functionality without the huge price tag that you'd have if you did it before this. I really liked some of the functionality. It's going to be interesting to see how well that works in real life, as well as roadmap, what they're going to do with it, how they're going to extend it, and really make it a differentiator against Salesforce.
Yes, I think the big takeaways are there were some nice things. I like the relationship scoring they had. Mm-hmm. I don't remember what it was called, but basically telling you the status of your relationship with someone based on your connection with them on LinkedIn, and showing you who else on your team is connected to somebody else from their company, so you can get deeper. The big takeaway I saw though was the combined licensing, because traditionally the LinkedIn Sales Navigator was not that it was bad, it was that it was expensive. It was sometimes more expensive than your Dynamics license to get LinkedIn. Now it's, I believe, $40 more. And for people in business development or sales that use LinkedIn, that puts it in a much more attractive price point. And it also looks like it's more part of Dynamics.
Right. And I also liked how from, say, the LinkedIn mobile app, you generate an in-mail. You could tell it to link to or track into the CRM, or if you went to make a phone call, those kind of things. That kind of integration seemed to be there, and that'll be interesting how that plays out. Typically, from what I've seen, if you don't have a pro subscription to LinkedIn, you're typically not going to use too much of the in-mail. It's going to be more of those introductions, but for the heavy-duty power user of LinkedIn, and really someone who really leverages that for your sales connections, it could be pretty powerful. So, but I agree, the licensing angle is really the big bang for the buck from that conversation on the 3rd, because to your point, I've had a number of implementations where we've looked at Sales Navigator and they never implemented it because of the cost. It would just be too much.
What about the second half was more about the Dynamics 365 for talent, which is focused on hiring managers and recruiters. Hardly a week goes by where I don't see somebody in my network on LinkedIn complaining about recruiters, in that they're tone deaf. They target people without really checking their qualifications. So I'm thinking many of the people who are complaining about recruiters are now going to be selling to them Dynamics 365 for talent. So just recently, Jerry Weinstock was complaining about some messages going in, and my response to him was, don't view this as a hassle. View this as a sales opportunity to sell these people, Dynamics 365 for talent, because they need it.
And will we see? It'd be interesting if we could see something where we're going to integrate more to, whether it's AX or something like that, for the HR side once that talent loop is closed. But that's, to me, I don't know. That's more niche-y than widespread.
In fact, the description on the site, the description of the preview program on the website, you see that HR bit is covered first. You're signing up for a preview program, and talent acquisition will come later. But HR bit, I think, covered first.
Is that in CRM or is it in AX?
That's in AX. They're splitting off the HR functionality kind of into its own product,
which makes sense because it should be ERP, shouldn't be CRM.
Why?
Most HR talent kind of things is mainly handled in the ERP. Within the ERP side, that's where you're handling payroll. That's where you're handling insurance. That's where you're handling benefits. No, it's about human capital management.
Human is the keyword, so it's about relationship, right? So it belongs in CRM side.
The interviewing side of things is relationship management. Once they take the bait and become part of your company, then the processes to set them up and onboard them are typically on the accounting side.
Right. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah, fair enough. The one thing that LinkedIn or Sales Navigator seems to be missing is the quality of the relationship. Where do you put it? Like, remember the example they give? Oh, you've got sales meeting with John, and then you discover that Bob from your company, went to the same school as John. What it forgets to mention that John was bullying Bob all this time, so whilst in high school. So how you put add the different different features and qualities of the relationship to the mix, because LinkedIn doesn't actually describe. You can remove someone or unsubscribe or break the link or whatever, defriend or what's the word, but how you describe the quality of your relationship with someone. Awkward pause.
That's a good point. The notes I wrote down during that were, I think a key point that Satya Nadella made is they're viewing this as, where he's made the comment that before this we've sold solutions, but they've really been the start of a solution rather than a complete solution. They're positioning this as more of a complete solution. You've already got LinkedIn. Adding it to Dynamics kind of completes the solution for people in sales roles. That's cool. It's not, though, going to introduce you to more people than you know already. It's going to help you find them, but it's not like you're suddenly going to have everybody in LinkedIn that you can market to. You're still going to have to be connected to those people or find those connections. It's going to help you find the connections. The third thing is, Satya Nadella saying relationships sounds a whole lot better than me saying relationships. He's got a great rolling R that I wish I could do.
Yeah, I can't do that either. 3 years of Spanish, never could do it.
Relationships.
Relationships. Is that close?
George, you gotta show off. You gotta show off.
I've got to think there's more coming than just this. I think this is the obvious low-hanging fruit from LinkedIn. I've got to think there's other ways that this relationship data or this LinkedIn, this wealth of data that is in LinkedIn can be leveraged for even non-sales applications.
But you're making it all sounds like it's all about Sales Navigator LinkedIn. I know that was kind of driving force behind this announcement, but the pitch was different. I mean, yes, that was part of it, but pitch was different. Pitch was, I don't know, all about transformation and leveraging the data. I was more impressed. I mean, to me, sales is kind of it's not my cup of tea. So I was more impressed by case studies from the second half. Where people utilize machine learning and agricultural case studies where they use field data to improve yield of the crops. Or my favorite part was actually about Spanx, the lady who came on board and told her business story. That was my favorite part. Certainly beats wooden presentations from previous presenters. She was genuine article, and I would buy fax from her if she was selling door to door. It's like she was so engaging and genuine. So I did enjoy it. The last
George
part.
says he would buy Spanx.
Yep.
Okay. I have a follow up to last week's episode. We were talking about Microsoft Edge, and you're talking about should that be our primary browser. And I have been using it more since I got the Creators Update, but I was reminded there's a couple things that prevent me from using it as my primary browser. One is the syncing of bookmarks we talked about. The other one is I'm finding a lot of primarily financial institution websites it doesn't work well for. I believe it's Citibank will flat out tell you this is a non-supported browser, can't log in. Others, though, especially when you get to like the two-factor authentication page or the security questions I found on a major credit union, on PayPal, Edge just doesn't work, and it's specifically the security aspect of that. Mm-hmm. So, George, as a web developer, any idea of why that might be, or are they doing something non-standard, do you think? Or
no, basically,
the other people write for WebKit and other common like Chrome and Safari now.
Look, this is the classical developer's mistake on the client side, and I think Citibank is guilty because I'm also a Citibank client, and I'm well aware of the idiosyncrasies when it comes to browser choice and things like that. For example, the way to program. The way they program is, okay, we know that we tested in, say, Chrome and Firefox and IE, right? So let's put a check on top saying, if your browser is Chrome or Firefox or IE, then proceed, otherwise tell them where to go. And probably if you start Opera browser, you get the same result as with Edge, right? The right way to do it, and it's... it's too bad that Daryl is not here. He would confirm it, that you have to express the capabilities that you're after. For example, I want to display HTML5. Don't check your browser. Check if your browser is capable of HTML5. Don't look for function foobar. Don't check your browser. Let's say you need a function foobar, which is only supported in certain browsers. Don't check your browser. In JavaScript, it's very easy. If foobar is a function, then do your thing. So that's just poor development practice, nothing else. And financial institutes are all guilty of that, unfortunately. So remember, the Citibank used to have a login page where they had on-screen keyboard, and you had to actually push the little keys with your mouse.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm. That was the stupidest thing ever. Adds absolutely nothing to security, but adds tons to frustration. So
the other thing that irritates me with not just Edge, but financial institutions that will not let you paste your password in because they think it's supposedly more safe,
secure.
or actually is less safe.
Yeah,
think,
that's. Don't get me. Oh, speaking of which, Edge now supports LastPass, which is woohoo. Now
Yeah,
suddenly,
that's good.
Edge is 20% of my browsing.
And I'll tell you the last thing on my things that trip me up in Edge list is copy paste, because I'm a just by habit use the mouse to right click and copy and then right click paste, and frequently that doesn't work in Edge. It'll say you have to do Control C Control V.
Yeah.
See now, I've never really gotten impacted because I always use Control C Control V.
What I do invite you to do, click on ... in the top right-hand corner and go to extensions and get extensions from the store, because the number of extensions is actually quite impressive. So I just did last week. So what I have now: Office Online, LastPass, Page Analyzer, Translator, and Ghostery. The last one is actually very nice. It tells you who's snooping on you, and to tell them to bugger off.
Nice.
So yeah, and there's plenty of others as well. So it's catching up. I like it. It's right now it's the fastest as far as pure browsing is concerned. On usability, it's catching up. So speaking of browsers and all the websites, the latest news, roadmap.dynamics.com now has the latest and greatest what to expect in upcoming releases of Dynamics 365, including what to expect with the portals. And among other things, some people will get excited is that the source code for portals will be released under MIT license. What it means is that you'll be able to deploy portals, Dynamics 365 on-premises, in Dynamics 365 on-premises environment.
Oh, okay.
That's what people
you're talking my language. Okay.
Does that increase the extensibility of it?
Well, you can do whatever you want. It's a source code.
Right. So right now, the main reason I see people in certain cases not using the Dynamics 365 portal is there's a limit to how much you could extend it. And you know more than I do about what's possible with Liquid and everything. Does bringing on premises, I guess I'm thinking like ADX Studio, there was more extensibility than the Dynamics 365 portals. Does that bring it in parity with what we had with ADX Studio?
Correct, yes. Certain things will be slightly different. I would say improved. I'm not sure how they're going to handle cache. Cache was a bit of kind of hit and miss, pardon the pun, in the portals. But there's certainly some things that they're talking about will be improved. So we'll see what's under the hood effectively. So yeah, it's do your own, roll your own. The one thing that people do miss is server-side functionality where you can post things to and execute your code on your server side. So now you have you'll have a full control over that. So that's quite exciting. Obviously, the danger is that once you fork the code, how you keep up with changes to that code. So you can change it, and then you effectively branching out, and then you are left behind. So my advice would be very careful when extending it. So definitely there will be some best practices around extending the portal code, so not to lock yourself out of the future enhancements that might come. For example, one very exciting thing is that they will support Azure AD B2C for portal authentication. So gone will be the days where the password is stored somewhere, or password hash is stored somewhere in your Dynamics 365. It all will be delegated to Azure B2C. So if that functionality is to come to Active Directory on Windows Server, then you don't want to lock yourself out. You want to support that as well. So things like that. The other announcements, there's lots of announcements, but they're less exciting to developers than source code release. For example, you'll be able to include attachments in knowledge base articles. Portal interaction tracking. Track your customer interactions with your portal and funnel it to Dynamics 365 Customer Intelligence. Okay, that's quite interesting. So when someone logs on into the portal to track their interaction with your portal, and when you send your customer a link to the portal and then click through, my understanding, it will all feed into Customer Intelligence or Customer Insights, right? What would be interesting is that pre-roll tracking, if someone goes to your website, they're not your customers. I've been asked this question a few times in relation to the portals that we do in WordPress world. That when someone visits your website and you do some tracking of what pages they go into and so forth, once you convert them, let's say they do the purchase or they register, say, what people want to do is to capture all the previous browsing interactions as now their customer interaction or prospect interactions. So once they register, you want to know what interests them, what pages they've been to prior to registering. So that could be quite interesting. To some extent, I'm a bit disappointed. On one hand, I'm excited because source code is going to be released, so finally we will get the extensibility that we're after. On the other hand, I'm kind of disappointed. It sounds like a white flag saying,
how so?
We couldn't figure out the way to give you extensibility while still maintaining control over the portals. So we're just giving you the source code.
Well, or is it we want to be able to control the extensibility through the online portal because that's our bread and butter, but we're hearing you loud enough, so we're going to give you that option. I don't know if it's one or the other though.
Compare it with Dynamics 365 customer engagement, aka CRM,
right?
Where they have parity really with extensibility for what you do with a plugin online, you could do with a plugin on premises. If you don't have that extensibility online, but you have it for on premises, it feels like a little bit of a step backwards. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's basically, imagine if Dynamics 365 plugin model, which is a good example, right? So suddenly we would get the source code for Microsoft .crm.server.dll, the bread and butter, the heart of the CRM engine. And suddenly you've got source code for that saying, yeah, okay, extend as you see fit outside of your plugin model. Well-defined plugin model. So it's a bold move. I'd love to see let's put it this way. I'd like to see what the retention rate is going to be for the existing customers who are currently sitting on Microsoft portals, and then suddenly you've got the source code. You can roll your own. You are going to pay more because now you will have to roll out your own server. You will have to do your own homework as far as, it's no longer software as a service, it's platform as a service. So you will have to invest more resources, time and money, but for enterprises, that's the least of their concerns. They want extensibility, they want control, they want reliability. So Interesting. There are other minor enhancements, but and of course the developers. The last bit on the list: use virtual entities to integrate external data at runtime.
Yeah, we need to have a whole conversation about virtual entities.
I'm just flagging it so before other podcasts get to the topic.
So go to roadmap.dynamics.com. Another thing is, It now includes not just CRM, but also operations, retail, talent. So you'll want to make sure you check the box under applications to filter it down to just the Dynamics applications you're interested in.
There is
Right.
nothing there.
But since we are at the start of CRMUG Focus, I thought we should talk about kind of where you can catch, or I guess avoid if you want to stay away from the CRM audio and CRM tip of the day people.
What I was going to say is they're 90-minute sessions, and we have 8 sessions for everybody involved in either CRM audio or CRM tip of the day, and that's 720 minutes of content from us at CRM Audio. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so you could probably fill up your whole schedule just with our sessions.
Yes, you could.
Not suggesting you avoid the other sessions.
So the sessions start on Monday, May 8th. It's Monday. The CRM portion of Focus 17 is Monday, May 8th, and Tuesday, May 9th. Then there's also the BI user group is Thursday and Friday, I believe. Monday, May 8th, designing your Dynamics business processes. That's me and you, Joel. That's Monday at 10:45. So that should be an action-packed 90 minutes of process goodness.
And we're trying to make it so there's something in there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning both the if you're the configurator, we will be showing the tools in the toolbox and also a little bit about how to extend those tools. But we're also the first say 25 to 40% of it isn't really about the tools at all. It's about how to digitally transform your business process. Kind of like when you're in a presentation, the PowerPoint deck isn't the presentation. Same thing. Your workflows, plugins, actions are not your business process. They're the digital representation of it. And if you don't know if you don't know what your process is to begin with, you're not ready to put it into Dynamics. So we're kind of talking about a whole, I don't want to use the word like holistic, but the whole process of, starting from you have a business process like a sales process, like a customer service process, or some totally different process. How do you think through, how do you put that into a format, and how do you think through what should be in CRM? Because not all processes should be in CRM either. So trying to give something for everyone and something you can take away, and then going through the specific tools. Big thing is use the right tool for the job.
Are you going to use Microsoft To Do, which is now officially released?
No, but I'm showing Flow.
That's right. Yeah, we won't get into the ancillary tools, but the main core Dynamics 365 tools is what we'll be focusing on.
Okay, I promise to our listeners, to all 4 of them, that I'm going to give you a hard time, guys.
Great. Can't wait.
We appreciate it.
Well, now, here's something to think about, George. Do you give us a hard time, or at the same time, do you go to Scott Sewell's session for CRM reporting smorgasbord, including Power BI and Fetch XML/RS?
Ooh, I'm gonna try floating between the sessions, like opening the door, sneaking in,
like a little
booing
gremlin
from the back, giving the hard time, and then sneaking out and going to Scott's session and continue.
Well, George, I don't want to be selfish, so let me be the first to invite you to go to all Scott Sewell sessions.
That's right. You beat me to it. Then later on Monday at 1:30, George and some of our friends from the pod are talking Dynamics 365 portals, real-world experiences. Mm-hmm. So what are you guys going to be talking about there? And don't say real-world experiences with the Dynamics 365 portals.
Now we're going to talk about the challenges of deployment, and in particular extensibility of portals. From me, that will come from me, because that's one of the first questions people ask, or developers ask, how to extend the portals and so on and so forth. And now with the source code being in the pipeline for the release under MIT license, now where does it leave us if we don't want to maintain our own environment and still sticking with the portals online and as a service? So we're going to talk about real life experiences, how to be creative, inventive, what to do, what not to do, how to mitigate the risks, and so on. So you're welcome to come along and heckle me back.
I will do that, and that's at 1:30 on May 8th. Then at 4:15, we have Career Path Becoming a CRM Code Guru, and that has George and myself. And I know the first thing some of you are asking. We have some of our friends from the pod. We have Jerry Weinstock, we have Jason Latimer, Abe Saldana, and the first question some of our listeners may be asking: becoming a code guru, why is Sean in that session?
You need somebody who's not a code guru to have a comparison to show what one.
No, we need a punching bag for a session. That's
pretty much it. That's what I'm looking forward to. I have about 10 minutes, and I'm sure it will be peppered with no. So come see me sweat Monday, May 8th at 4:15.
No, but it's interesting that when we were given this particular topic, some of us pitched in the ideas how to make a developer a better developer, whilst others took it literal and said, hey, hold on, I'm not a developer, let me become one. So it's really interesting. I think we're going to cover all the aspects. So if you're a developer or non-developer who's kind of inspiring to be one, or I'm going to tell, for example, a couple cautionary tales that why you don't want to be a developer if you think it's all rosy and big money bag, and prepare for some other things that come with the job. So so we're gonna cover. It's gonna be an interesting session for both developers and non-developers. So.
Yeah, I think we do have a well-versed cross section of people in different roles, and it can really speak to a lot of people. So that should be a fun session. Then we go to Tuesday. That's all you got for Monday. So that's a lot of content already. But now we're going into Tuesday. Tuesday at 8 a.m. bright and early. Scott Sewell with Power BI and Dynamics 365 Quick Start and Look Ahead. That's going to be a really interesting session. Not going to take rip away the curtain, but a lot of cool stuff Scott has prepared for that one. So that should be a fun session. Exactly. And at 8 o'clock, it better be entertaining. That's all I got to say. Either that or real close to coffee.
Let's do the advertisement in the style that I mentioned to you guys previously, in the style of decline shaming. When you try to get people to click on something, but then you shame them if they don't. So, like the one I gave you example. Delish was advertising 14 simple dinners for one. Show me 14 simple dinners, and the no button looks like no thanks. I'll have a microwave dinner tonight. So we can say. Come to Power BI and Dynamics 365 Quick Start with Scott Sewell, or no, I'd like to continue to be stupid.
So yes, you could go to a session, learn all about Power BI, or choose not to learn anything and read one of Gus's tweets.
Oh, let me tell you the one that tripped me up this last week is Delta Airlines. When you're checking in for a Delta flight now, it puts the would you like to upgrade to first class? It puts the yes option in a big red button, and then underneath it says no, continue. So I inadvertently spent $80 to upgrade to first class last week.
Very nice.
$80 to upgrade to first class. Is that what from?
It was a short flight.
It was like 20 minutes flight, or
puddle jumper. Yeah. All right, next one.
I got a snack during the flight, though.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I prefer the cattle class, yes.
Cattle, yeah. Want to be heard with the cattle. Next one at 10:45 on Tuesday, we have top CRM configurator mistakes and how to avoid them. That's Joel and I. That's going to be a fun one.
We made every mistake there's possible to make, and we're here to tell you how not to be like us.
Yes, and we have a lot of different... a lot of good stories from various implementations on issues we run into and how we've like the title says, how we avoided them.
how we've painted ourselves into the corner and over-engineered our processes and made a system twice as slow as it needs to be, and lessons we learned from that process.
That's right.
And the money you earned in the process.
And you know what? I forgot one. At 8 a.m. on Tuesday is going mobile with sales.
And
Totally
you're going
forgot that was at 8 a.m.
Against Scott Sewell.
Yes, again. So
against Scott Sewell, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to take thunder away from you guys, but not to give people impression that it's all about Joel and Sean and Scott. This is just one track.
No, these are the two. These are I spread all across all the tracks: the sales track, the service track, and the citizen developer. This is everything that CRM Audio is offering. There's a bunch of other sessions that we're not offering. Yeah, so this is just what CRM Audio is offering, right?
Now, how do you see in general UG Focus? Where is it positioned? So it came out of nowhere. It's not CRM UG Summit. It's not quite extreme. So how's it positioned?
So it's supposed to be positioned to where it's more deep dive sessions, 90 minute sessions as opposed to 60 that you might find at Summit, for example. And they're more deep dive. They're focused on 3 different tracks: the sales track, service track, citizen developer track.
It's more of a learning event. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, much more focused on education and learning.
Longer, deeper sessions.
Right. And it's really to get more. They're going to be smaller sessions or smaller groups, right? So you're probably on average, your average session will probably have somewhere between 10 and 20 folks in it. You know, some of the more popular sessions could have a little 20, 25, but on average, you're probably looking at between 10 and 15 people. So it'll be a more intimate affair, which is nice. And the content is meant to be deep dive, so you could really interact with your audience and really pull out some of the, bring them into the conversation. At least that's what I'm planning on doing in my session. Pull them into the discussion, get some information from their experience and how they've battled some of these things that we're talking about, and tie it back into the content that you're delivering.
Yeah, and it seems like it doesn't have all the hoopla that the full CRM Summit has. It doesn't have, as far as I know, a keynote speaker.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how much exhibit hall there's going to be there. You know, it seems just more focused, like it says, focused, more of a focused event on end users in the 3 tracks.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes out. But speaking of learning, and I think I mentioned we did discuss Scott's session just a bit. What's coming?
Well, hold on. We got one more session. Don't shortchange me now, George. God, yeah. I get to my session, and George wants to go off to another topic.
You should have your smaller fonts.
What do you mean, you smaller font? So the last session.
So I don't have to scroll. Remember the page fold? Remember?
Yes, exactly. User experience. Yes, I know, George. So the last session, Tuesday, 1:15. That's my session. We're talking relationship insights, specifically focused on customer service and how you could leverage relationship insights to really get the most out of your customer service opportunities. That one's going to be a demonstration. We're going to go through setting it up. We're going to go through looking at action cards and the whole nine. And I'm really hoping.
Can I give you a tip before you?
Sure.
Remember the tip we did a couple of days ago on minimal copy?
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that the other thing that gets broken with the minimal copy is relationship insights.
Mm. Okay.
Because relationship insights data live outside of Dynamics 365, as far as I understand it. So some of it lives outside. Those data retained, so they still surface in your minimal copy. But when you try to navigate, it's all broken. So just word of warning.
Okay.
Relationship insights in minimal copy, not what it used to be.
Yeah, I'm telling people that if you just want a minimal copy, you're better setting up a generic org and moving your solutions.
Yep.
There's no real value in minimal copy, especially because we found things like we listed in the tip of the day from yesterday that there's potential downside do not create your production environment using a minimal copy. I've made that mistake.
This episode of CRM Audio is sponsored by Alexa CRM. WordPress powers more than 25% of all the websites on the internet and is the number one choice for blogs, websites, and portals because it's open source, simple to use, reliable, and extendable. Dynamic CRM has become a de facto standard in sales, marketing, customer service, and industry solutions. Now they can work together thanks to the Dynamic CRM WordPress plugin built with love by the Alexa CRM team. Capture forms, engage your users and customers, all without writing any code. Control your site in WordPress, keeping your data in CRM. To build the plugin, Alexa CRM has created an open source Dynamic CRM PHP toolkit, unlocking the world of Dynamics for PHP developers. Download your 30-day trial from alexacrm.com/plugin and instantly create a portal by connecting your CRM and WordPress site. We thank Alexa CRM for their sponsorship of CRM Audio.
Let's go to you. What's your learning opportunity?
Oh, I was going to say that I'm looking forward to Scott's session. And the one thing that I did, I went to the local Sydney session, SSW session, friends of developers, friends at SSW. They run SSW TV, and the whole session is there. Nick Weinhold, a good friend of mine, he ran on data science on Azure session. And that's basically coming back to our topic that you can no longer be jack of all trades. You can no longer know everything in Dynamics 365. Like 10 years ago, I could say, yeah, I'm Dynamics CRM specialist. I can't say Dynamics 365 specialist because it would mean nothing. But the one thing is for sure, if you are looking to engage deeper into machine learning and Power BI and data analytics and things like that, the stuff that Scott is going to present, then definitely take a look at this session, an introduction to data science on Azure. But one thing, another link I wanted to insert is that I just received an MCP correspondence. Remember that the title, Microsoft Certified Professional. There is a program run by Microsoft. It's called Microsoft. It's under Academy, academy.microsoft.com. It's a data science academy. So you enroll like 8 data science skills, 1.5 million jobs. That's how they advertise it. But the idea is that if you want to get serious, you want to get professional, you need to know your data science, right? You can't just write on your Excel spreadsheets. And interestingly enough, Nick in his presentation gives the samples where spreadsheets were horrible. They let people make mistakes, like the whole Greek crisis. Remember that? When Greece was coerced into doing austerity measures.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out it was based on mistaken Excel spreadsheet.
Seriously?
It's fundamental. What happened is like they said, if you don't do this, you're going to end up as all these countries who didn't do that and ended up contraction. Their economies ended up contracting at minus 0.08% ever since. Turns out there was a mistake in Excel spreadsheet, missing rows, and all those economies actually grew on average by 0.02% or something like that.
My personal story about that is one time in a previous job, not where I currently work, but in a previous job, one time I didn't get a paycheck, and it was because the payroll person was copying the spreadsheet from one spreadsheet to another and didn't copy my row.
Yeah, exactly. And that was 5 missing rows in the data analysis. Anyway, so the better alternative, I'm looking into it right now. I'm playing it with myself and very excited. So the scientific alternative to the spreadsheets, which hide a lot of calculations, it's what's called notebooks. They used to be called Python notebooks, or they... Anyway, you go and search for Azure notebooks. You need to learn either Python or R as a language, but they are really a bread and butter of scientific calculations and data analysis. So definitely, yeah. So bottom line is that if you want to be serious about one aspect of Dynamics 365, it's no longer enough, to read half an hour before the presentation and become a guru in the subject. You really need to decide which one is your topic, and invest serious time into learning the subject. So, and data science is particular, very interesting one. I'm going to give Scott hard time on his session. So, I'm thinking that you guys on Monday, is it Tuesday or?
I believe, George, all my sessions are on Wednesday, so.
Okay. So I'll come on Wednesday then. Okay.
Yeah.
So no, but you're gonna get away easily. You are competing. You're mobile with sales. Now I'll let you have a good time on that one. I'll go and harass Scott instead.
Maybe you should come. Maybe you should come to ours so you can learn to sell.
Learn how to sell with Joel and Sean. No, I'd rather stay a cool developer.
Well, joining me now is Steve Mordue. Steve is the CEO of ForceWorks, located in the Tampa St. Pete area. And Steve is a Dynamics MVP, does a lot of work with SMB business, the small to medium-sized customers with Dynamics. And so I wanted to invite him on here because we talk a lot about enterprise clients, which is what I work with a lot. There's a lot of small guys out there. And so Steve, welcome. And I wanted to start off by saying, when you're approaching Dynamics, other than the size, what are the big differences when it comes to SMB versus enterprise type clients?
Sure. I'd say the biggest difference is just in their resources, both in budget, people, and knowledge. Enterprise customers, would have, significant IT departments, people that work with you guys, significant resources, budgets, and the typical SMB customer doesn't have any of that. So they definitely are challenged with trying to get a product like Dynamics 365 off the ground themselves, just not really capable of doing it, even at the most basic level. Whereas, the enterprise customers have certainly internal capabilities to do things, and they look for partners like yourselves to really take them to that next level. SMB can't even imagine that level when they're getting started.
Right. And again, I've had some experience with SMB. It's not who we normally work with, but in the enterprise world, you'll have the SQL guy, the Exchange guy or woman. You'll have the desktop application person, the server application person, and in SMB, that's usually one or two people.
If that person exists at all. Yeah, you certainly, in enterprise, you've got a lot of customer resources that you can tap internally to help you kind of accomplish their goals. The typical SMB customer, they don't have any resources. Their IT guy is the guy that knows how to use a smartphone better than anybody else, so he just got elected by default.
Right.
And typically it doesn't really have any background, but they have a need. They're definitely feeling the similar need that any customer of any size would around wanting to get their arms around their processes, knowing that that leads and opportunities are critical to their success and survival, knowing that whatever solutions they're doing today, spreadsheets or Outlook, is just not really working for them, feeling like they're just losing business or potential business, and so that's what's really bringing them in to look at Dynamics 365.
How do you see the Dynamics 365 message playing with SMB, with the way the world is changing?
I'll tell you what, Dynamics 365 today is an enterprise product, and even before Dynamics 365, when it was CRM Online, it's an enterprise product. SMB never really even was aware of it until it moved to the cloud, and suddenly this enterprise product that used to cost, a lot of money to get set up on premise and launched and everything else was available at the time for like $44 a month. So SMB was now able to buy it, but Microsoft hadn't built it for SMB. It was still an enterprise product. I mean, we built a whole ISV solution, our Rapid Start CRM solution, around that very thing. Let's take this enterprise product and bring it down to size for that SMB customer, which is kind of ironic that an SMB customer is buying a powerful product and then paying a company like us to actually strip power out of it to get it down to a point to where they could be successful with it.
Right.
But then knowing that behind that is all that power that they can turn on. It's something they'll never outgrow. Often SMBs coming from some other smaller CRM light solution that they have outgrown, and they certainly don't want to have to go through that platform change again.
Hey, so Steve, I bought the sports car. Take some of the seats out.
yeah, exactly. Or I got this new 12-cylinder Ferrari. Can you put a 4-cylinder motor in it for me?
Exactly.
Because I can't drive it. It's too powerful, and I'll crash it into a tree. So, yeah, that's that whole thought process. But the SMB customer, they're excited, I think, about the potential of Dynamics, and depending on how it's presented to them by either Microsoft or their partner, they can get unexcited pretty quickly.
Right.
Mainly around just looking at it and thinking that, okay, this is clearly too big for my needs, and I'll never get this off the ground. My users will never adopt it, and those things tend to keep them on the sidelines. That Rapid Start solution was really designed, working with Microsoft, in fact, to try and tackle that particular problem. Plus, many of those SMB customers, you guys are an enterprise partner, so you're dealing with enterprise customers. The SMB space, by and large, is being addressed by managed service providers and Office 365 partners. Certainly there are some smaller CRM shops out there catering to that business, but not nearly enough to cover the need. So what Microsoft is really wanting to do is to activate all these Office 365 partners that maybe are looking at Azure and some of these other services to say, hey, think about Dynamics 365 to add to your mix. That's been a challenge for Microsoft for some time, and continues to be kind of an uphill battle, but we're making some progress there.
So what are you hearing from your prospective clients? Are they moving forward now with Dynamics 365 Enterprise, or are there any that are holding out for the Business Edition?
It's funny. I was talking to a Microsoft person the other week who reminded me of the Osborne computer company from years and years ago. I don't know if you even remember the name, but
I've read about them a little bit before my time. My first computer was a Commodore 128.
They launched the Osborne 1, and it was a very powerful machine, very popular. Everybody loved it, and they got so excited they started thinking about their next version, the Osborne 2, and they went ahead and announced it really, really early. And they were nowhere near having the Osborne 2 ready to deliver, but they went ahead, got excited, and announced it to build up some excitement. Well, what happened is everybody stopped buying the Osborne 1, waiting for the Osborne 2, and it took them so long to get it built, they went out of business.
Right.
So there's always that risk when you announce, something's around the corner, and then it ends up being farther down the path than you think, that customers will sit on the sidelines waiting for that piece to come out. And I haven't noticed much of that yet, but I definitely we're starting to see it now in that SMB customer. At least we do have, a promotional price to be able to offer that SMB customer the enterprise SKU at. So it's not so much a cost factor that they're waiting on, as some customers might be thinking, I think I'll just wait for that SMB product because it'll probably be better suited to my needs. So I can kind of see.
We're getting to the month of June where it's the end of Microsoft's fiscal year, so that's a good time for SMBs to buy as well.
Yeah, it is, and thank goodness Microsoft gave us this promo SKU to be able to sell to SMB, because with the new Dynamics 365 licensing and pricing, that was going to be a non-starter for SMB.
Yeah, and I think the move to Business Edition gives us MVPs something to do to help mitigate some of the confusion that's bound to happen. I think the functionality differences, like hearing that event management is going to be in the Business Edition, but not potentially in the Enterprise Edition, and what solutions will work with Business Edition that won't work, or vice versa, that'll work with Enterprise but won't work with Business. That's something that I think in the next year is going to keep our lives interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're building a new marketing application for the business edition from the ground up. And from what I've seen of it, and we work with that team, so I've seen quite a bit of it. I keep thinking, man, enterprise is really going to want this.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that
but it's not available
everybody
for
uses
enterprise.
marketing lists.
Yeah,
Everybody uses campaigns,
yeah,
and not everybody has the need for Adobe Marketing.
yep, exactly. Yeah, so I guess for enterprise, the solution alternative to Adobe Marketing will remain Click Dimensions.
Yeah,
And in the SMB space, that SMB customer will have to make a decision: do I want to go with Click Dimensions here, or use this new Dynamics marketing solution that's been targeted to me? And we'll see how that plays out. And your comments about AppSource, are also correct. Right now, we've got partners building apps to put in AppSource that are all assuming the enterprise functionality, and that's great. But once these SMB SKUs launch with somewhat less functionality, you're going to have to go back to your apps and make sure, is this still going to work on this SMB SKU? Do I need to create a different version? Do I need to redesign my app a little bit so it'll stand up on either of those SKUs? Otherwise, the day that Microsoft launches that SMB SKU and that customer goes to AppSource, they won't find anything, and that's going to be critical. That SMB customer, if they have the ability to purchase Dynamics 365 Business Edition and really make a custom version of it themselves by adding various apps from AppSource, they will absolutely do that before they're going to pay, a partner to build a custom solution. So I think AppSource is going to be critical for Microsoft's success. Not necessarily the best news for partners unless you're an app developer. I think we'll see a pivot in that SMB partner away from working on a few customers going deep. They're going to have to learn how to do things at scale. Lots of customers moving through in order to generate the same kind of revenue they used to.
right. Now you had an interesting post a week or so ago, and if people haven't seen your blog, I would recommend it. What's your blog URL?
SteveMordue.com.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah.
as long as you can spell Mordue. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, you had an interesting post, I thought, about the financials direction with Dynamics 365, where Microsoft is targeting kind of the QuickBooks market. And I thought you had some really insightful comment about how small business accountants and accounting schools are basically owned by QuickBooks, which I believe my friend George Dubinsky made a similar statement.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I watched that, I'm sure, as you may have and other partners did, as it came out in preview as Project Madeira, the early days, and it looked, and the messaging I was getting, which might not be confirmed today, but the messaging I was getting at the time was, yeah, this is our QuickBooks competitor. And it looked and felt like a QuickBooks competitor. In the Project Madeira stage, it was missing, a couple of things, but it certainly felt like it was being designed for that level. But as it has kind of progressed, and flipped over to financials now as the only app in Business Edition so far, it feels like the team, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but of course they kept building on that. And now the goal is, feature parity with full nav. And my sense is that they've kind of moved it way past QuickBooks, and indeed they started repositioning it as this is now for the QuickBooks outgrower, which was a little ironic because it didn't have payroll. And I would think if you're going to be an outgrower, that would lead me to believe you at least do everything the competitor does. But I think they're taking a little bit different angle. But then when you kind of stand up and see where it is today and where it's heading, it feels like they really overshot a lot of certainly small SMBs and new SMBs, in that I think they gave them a little too powerful a product compared to what QuickBooks has. That may have been intentional, because that would have been a tough market for Microsoft to really crack into, because it's, like I say, an army of accountants out there. Most SMB in the U.S. in particular are going to start with QuickBooks. They're going to get, it's like the default, and to try and dislodge that competitor would have been a tough challenge for Microsoft. But I think by hook or by crook, they've kind of ended up in a spot here that I think is a better one for them. And that truly is for that QuickBooks outgrower, because QuickBooks, and I know this probably all sounds foreign to you enterprise guys, but QuickBooks is something that that business is going to outgrow. If they grow, they're going to hit some limits and some cracks, and I think that's where financials is perfectly positioned. I think that the bigger interesting thing is going to be once this has got full nav capability and they really put the pedal to the metal behind it, what is that going to mean for all of these GP, SL, and on-premise nav or partner-hosted ERPs? It's not obviously going to have anything to do with AX. That's way above, but I think there's going to be an interesting. That's going to be the bloodbath I want to watch. Is what's going to happen to all of those deployments, because Microsoft's a cloud company now. They, internally, if you're selling some cloud products, you're getting a pat on the back. If you end up selling an on-premise product, you're getting a better luck next time. So they're still selling it, but that is not the preferred motion. And I think a lot of partners just kind of have their head in the sand about that.
Yeah, well, I know that AX partners are definitely feeling that pressure, and because a lot of the way that they made money through licensing and things, the model's changing dramatically. And so, it's the people who are going to be able to shift. But also, we're seeing a lot of new partners that were just doing CRM now start to offer operations and financials as well. And that's going to keep it interesting too.
Yeah, we've been CRM guys. We started with Salesforce 15 years ago and moved over to Dynamics when they launched in the cloud. So we've always been CRM and sales process oriented. So I don't know anything about ERP. And we're looking at that same thing is, Microsoft has packaged up under this Dynamics 365 brand, ERP and CRM as a single thing to customers. Well, we know it's not a single thing. These are two different products. They're on different platforms. They're different development technology. Everything about them is different, but they're being packaged together, and the customer won't understand that. So that's going to put those partners, and more, obviously a large enterprise partner like yourself has the resources to have expertise across that stack. The typical SMB partner, you're either an ERP partner or a CRM partner. Not a lot of the SMB partners do both. I think that SMB partner really needs to be looking at P2P, and not just for this. I mean, this is kind of an obvious reason, for a partner like us to find another SMB focused ERP partner that knows that stack as well as we know this side. I'd rather team up with them than do a poor job of something I don't know very well. But this whole ecosystem of cloud products has blown up so fast, so quickly, that there's just no way that you could be an expert anymore across everything there is in the SMB space for an SMB partner. You're really going to have to, you're either going to do some things competently and offer a bunch of things incompetently, or you're going to have to partner up with partners and make kind of project teams. It'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, because typically, more so in the U.S., SMB partners have been reluctant to partner with other partners.
Right.
But they're not going to have much choice here.
Right, yeah. Now, going with the news of the week, the Business Forward event in New York today, at the time we're recording anyway, kind of unveiled where we're going with LinkedIn, having a combined SKU with Dynamics and LinkedIn, and having one that's focused on talent and recruiting. Every deal I'm involved in now, people are asking about LinkedIn. Are you hearing that from SMBs as well?
We're starting to. It's funny. I actually have Judson Althoff paused in my other monitors to jump onto this call with you, so I don't miss any of that. We're starting to. I mean, all the SMB customers are using LinkedIn. I think that the LinkedIn Navigator, a smaller number of them were using, and now it's getting to be pretty expensive product. So Microsoft's going to have a pretty solid value proposition for SMB to justify that cost of that solution. They're going after enterprise with that new Sales plus Navigator bundle SKU, but it's adding $40 a month per person, even at enterprise, for that capability, and
which is better than what Sales Navigator was. It's a more integrated product now, and it's it was $80 to $100 per user, which in some cases was more than your CRM license.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's moving in the right direction.
And I think that there's a little bit of a misconception from people out there that feel like, oh, I'm going to be able to connect LinkedIn to CRM. So from CRM now, I could just go reach out and grab all of these people I don't know, and I could start messaging them and stuff like that. And I was meeting with a team actually last week who's working on that, and they were like, yeah, no, none of that's happening. You're not going to be mining LinkedIn data. You'll have no more access to LinkedIn data than you did before as a LinkedIn user. It's going to be the factor of making it more convenient. Sales Navigator gave you capabilities, and those capabilities don't change. It's really just integrating them and making them more convenient. But it's not like you buy this add-on and suddenly you get access to the entire LinkedIn database to go.
Yeah, no, it's not going to let you be the annoying spamming recruiter or anything like that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I do like how they're positioning it to give you a relationship score, and I like how it's showing you who else is connected to these people, who's connected to somebody else in the company. That's pretty powerful stuff if you want to get deeper into a deal.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'll be curious to see how that manifests in the SMB solutions. Not just from a pricing standpoint, but how it gets deployed. I mean, with SMB, we still often struggle with the difference between a lead and an opportunity.
Right.
And, that new SMB customer that comes in and says, I have 300,000 contacts and 0 leads, that clearly just doesn't understand how some of the fundamentals of what CRM is supposed to do, and, whether they'll then take that next step. They're using LinkedIn today, so if we can, it may actually help that SMB customer sales process to be able to say, hey, look here, it's right in here. I'll be curious to see how they develop that version of it for that SMB SKU, which the SMB SKU is going to be a scaled down version of the enterprise SKU, and that scaling down of capabilities is logical. There's a lot of stuff there SMB will never get to, never need. But we don't yet know exactly where those lines are being drawn. From Microsoft's standpoint, they've got to find that sweet spot between the enterprise SKU that's reduced enough that enterprise won't want to buy that less expensive SKU, which is logical. But they also have to have it high enough that the SMB customer won't just take that Outlook contact manager and keep using that. So they've got to thread a needle there with that SMB SKU, and they're working on exactly that right now.
Right, but there's a lot of small companies, even down to 2 to 5 people companies, where at least one person has a LinkedIn Premium or a Sales Navigator account, and so it might be where you wouldn't want it for everybody in your small business, but you would have a couple of key people, maybe in sales or business development or marketing, that would have that additional add-on.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we're also going to see it surface on that Office 365 side more too. They launched that in the business edition or the business premium SKU, which is the one that targets the SMB. Their kind of hero SKU for SMB in the Office 365 side. They've launched several new features that are kind of CRM-ish features. That Outlook contact manager piece is one of them. The old business contact.
That was the reincarnation of the business contact manager.
And they've also launched some things like invoicing and some other features in there. And if they pull in a little LinkedIn integration over there also, then that SMB customer, particularly the sub 10 user company, is going to have a hard time justifying an additional $40 a month or whatever it might be to move to SMB sales when they're getting all this value for $12.50. That's a pretty big step. That's part of that line that needle that Microsoft needs to thread.
All right. So I guess one more thing before you go. Another topic you wrote about was the Outlook client, and I thought you had some interesting things to say about kind of where we are. We're kind of in this middle state where the traditional Outlook client is close to being deprecated and has some limitations, like only working on the machine you're working on. The new app is better, but still not quite there yet. Where are you seeing your clients falling? Are you deploying a lot of the new app, or are you still rolling out a lot of the traditional Outlook client?
New customers don't know what they don't know. So
right.
if if the only thing a new customer sees is the app, then they love the app. But if you've got a customer that had been using the thick client before and try and move them to the app, it's a little more of a struggle. The app doesn't have full feature parity, not intended to, but you got to see that writing on the wall. Obviously, the days of the thick client are numbered. There's way too many enterprise customers and other customers that are using it today, depending on it today, for Microsoft just to say pull the plug on it. But they're pushing from the other side. I don't think we'll see a lot of feature enhancements to that. And I think they're going to push it all to that app side. I was talking to that product manager a couple of weeks ago about some issues that we saw. And he was very eager to get the feedback. They really want to get that right. From a customer and partner standpoint, it's brilliant. I mean, from right within CRM admin, we can say who gets that app, and it just pushes down to them automatically. There's no desktop client to install or remove and reinstall or monkey with. And that was a pretty finicky, thick client. It seemed like at least 25% of the deployments, end users didn't work for some reason. So it was always a lot of work for the partner.
Yeah, it worked great in a clean room. If you take a clean PC, install it on it, but then you go to a client that has 20 plus add-ins running Outlook crawls to and there's typically an old add-in that conflicts with one of the DLLs. Yep. It's typically not CRM's fault, but it's typically the real world. There's a lot of cruft out there that interferes with it.
It's also not easy to find. I mean, you can spend hours working back and forth with a single customer or a single user at the customer. It's always the most important one. It's always the VP or the president of the company.
Yeah.
Everybody else, it works fine. And you're going back and forth trying to sort out why it won't work for him, and you've engaged support, you've got everything going on, and it's taken a week to get this thing sorted out, and he just looks at you like you don't know what you're doing. So it was not a good experience. I'm happy to see that thing.
But I'll tell you a strategy that I've used that has been somewhat successful, which is, you're right, it's the people who've used the Outlook client for years that are resistant to change. They love having the address book, even though they may never use it. Just knowing it's there, they feel like they're losing something. But find somebody whose Outlook performance is bad and have them try the new app. They'll love it.
Yeah.
Talk to the IT admin and say, hey, with this new app, you never have to touch people's computers when you upgrade. You'll win that person over. And we might decide we'll keep Carol in accounting on the old version for now. She's going to retire next year anyway.
I agree.
And let's move the other 55-60% over to the new app, and at least we'll cut down our headaches from a support standpoint.
Yeah, and I think they're getting there. I think that the thick client really. With the thick client, I mean, you could do development in the thick client from Outlook. I mean, you really didn't even need to go to CRM at all.
I deployed a plugin that worked in the offline version of the Outlook client one time.
Yeah.
No, I swore to never do it again.
It really did eliminate the need to go to the web client ever, even by super users. And I think that was more than it needed to do. I think that with the app, you're going to be able to do what you need to do in Outlook. But you're still going to need to go to the web client to do like serious work. If you want to really dive into that opportunity, of course, it's launching it from the app. So you're kind of it's creating more of a mixed experience where before a lot of the things you could do right in Outlook, now you're going to click a link in the Outlook app and it's going to launch a window with that actual CRM record. And I think that's a better solution. I think the thick client tried to do more than it really needed to.
Yeah, it was really, I think, built to satisfy people migrating from Lotus Notes that were working in the always offline replicated world.
Yep.
And had to do everything, be able to do everything offline. And starting with 2011, and on, increasingly features didn't work offline, so it really became a kind of a relic. And so, yeah, I like where we're going, but you're right, we still can't get away from it, especially for legacy users.
Yeah, I just personally declared it deprecated. That wasn't an official deprecation by Microsoft.
Steve Mordue has deprecated the Outlook client.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Steve, I appreciate you joining. This has been a great conversation. Again, go to stevemordue.com. Steve blogs very regularly, and I consider his blog a must-read, and especially if you're approaching life from an SMB market perspective.
Thanks, Joel. I enjoyed it.
This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.